Hey everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. On today's episode, to tree or not to tree? The first line of business today, before we get to the excitement of planting some trees, well, good news, there's water in the pot, and it's holding. The seals are holding. It's been 3 days and no water is leaking. So right now, my first step is to make the waterfall. So I had to take a couple of my rocks and pick out the ones that I wanted to put together to make the permanent waterfall structure. I put the rocks on some pond liner so I can make this structure permanent and solid as it sits by itself, but I can lift it up and move it anywhere I need to based on where the trees are planted. The waterfall appears to be working, so that is exciting. So before I get to the trees, I need to put some Flex Seal on the new pot stand. Yeah, the bonsai pot weighs about 70 pounds, I'm guessing. With the water, I'm not going to be lifting it up. But the pot has to now, before it gets painted, I want to make sure that I have some Flex Seal down below where the water might drip through the bonsai pot. Up on the top there's some openings that go into the stand. I'm also going to put some side pieces on, some extra trim work around the edges to keep that nice and pretty. And we'll be able to make a door for the front eventually. And I have a new batch of 1x6s that'll go on top to add it a little bit higher off the ground and provide a little bit of a lip that goes over all these trim pieces. We'll let the Flex Seal dry and then we'll have to go ahead and spray paint it here pretty soon. I think the time has arrived. Time for some trees in the bonsai pot tank.
The water has been in the tank for 3 days, 72 hours, and there's no leaks. Now that the waterfall display has been secured on the sides, we have the tube coming in from the filter. We get to plant some trees today. Well, at least I hope. One of the nice things about what I created here is that this is not attached. It is just on a piece of pond liner and the cord just comes in the back. I literally can lift this straight up and I can put it anywhere I want. In the back, in the front, and we're going to get it in the spot that it works the best. Now the flow is a little bit light to go over the edge real rough, so it wants to kind of tuck back in, which is okay. We have the extra liner in here, the pond liner, and the worst it'll do is just run down the rock a little bit. We'll monitor that as we get the fish tank ready, which the fish tank will be last. We are now going to put some trees at least on one of the sides today, and I think it's going to be this side. Since we have the waterfall here, we have it positioned, we can figure out where it's going to go, where I can get a tree back in here, because again, all of this stuff is loose back here. All of these rocks here, 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 and here, all loose, even back here. I put some up vertical to hold in the soil to make this possible. So we just have to see if we can get a tree in here, so we have to pick from some trees. My thought is to put Premnas into the bonsai pot tank. Possibly my variegated Benjamina. My variegated Benjamina is good and tall. It looks like a nice tree that I could probably put in the collection. So I'm going to bring that one over. Now this is a brush cherry. I used to think it was a ficus, but it's not. This is one of your broadleaf evergreens that I really shouldn't have in my plant room, and I should go put it in my cold frame for a couple months before spring, which I'll probably do here sometime in February, because I want these cold temps to be done because of this really small pot.
We'll keep it up in that high part of my garage cold frame that's been hovering around the mid-40s. So I'll put that in the cold frame, let it go dormant for good 4 to 8 weeks. So I'll do that. So I've got all these Premnas. So I have this, the one we had the cutting that was really super tall. This was left over, the stumps in the ground, and it's now starting to spread out some leaves to the right, left, and I could just slip this right into the bonsai pot tank and really not do anything with any of the roots or anything. Since I'm looking for a forest on my bonsai pot tank, I've got this stump that's turned into that grove of 5 trees. There's a forest right there. I might put that on the other side as a grove of trees on the other side of the bonsai pot tank. So we'll put that over there as a possibility. And then I have some bigger trees. I have to figure out maybe what I can do. So I like how this one leans, and I also like how this one has some exposed roots right there. So if I can put that over one of those flat rocks so it looks like it's kind of root over rock, and then they have this backside where there's no real radial root pattern here, I could have this hanging over the fish tank. So this is a possibility as my big tree in the collection. And then the other trees are going to have to be small. So I have a couple of small Premnas here again that are doing really good and sprouting up. They're small, but they got thicker trunks. Got this, again, this cutting I have over here. And I have all these cuttings that I've taken. So these are all small, so it could be that forest in the background. So we're going to put those over there. And I just don't know, I might be able to use one of these slanting trees and have it go over the water, because I like that they're slanting. So let's bring these over here. I'm running out of space on my table over here. The rest of them, we're gonna see if I want this one or not. I'm not sure. Now, as far as the big tree, I do have one medium to big tree. I do have this really tall Melina that I recently cut off the great big growth just in an episode ago or so, and that's got some new shoots on here. But of course, a repot after doing that is probably a little too quick. I don't want to stress that tree out. Here's another angled tree if I don't like the ones I have. This is my Melina from the workshop from July that's really pushing out some new growth right now on top and looking really nice. A lot of little leaves up here in the top section. That would be a really nice big main tree in the front. I don't know if it's too big or not, but we might look at that one as a big tree. My other options are all the Premnas that I've still got in these pots, which would mean a repot, but I can make it fit into these into the bonsai pot tank. Some of them have some really weird gnarly roots. Someone suggested right here that I put a root over rock section here, or the trunk over the rock. And look at this new growth. This is all in the since the plant room for sure. Most of this growth is plant room. And this right here coming off the trunk, I could cut this root off now and I've got a new branch growing up. Plus there's this one on the side in there. So that even has some possibilities. And I have, of course, a whole bunch of trees in the other greenhouse area. Let's go look at those trees. When my grow lights are on, it gives off that purpley hue, so we're going to go ahead and shove those off. So it's going to be a little bit darker over here. But I've got some more trees that I can consider for this tropical planting. Now I have these really small, what's called a goldfish plant, and they get a goldfish orange blossom on them. That could be really fun. We've got some blossoming right there. And I could put one of these on the fish tank pot, because this is a house plant. And it's got this woody little wild trunk, and I've been trimming it up. Since I pruned this one a couple of weeks back, it's got all this growth, and we're going to get 2 new buds right here, some flowers. There's one in there, and one in there. This could be fun in the fish tank pot too as a bloomer. We could have something that blooms flowers. This is another smaller one. We have all the Portulacaria afras. I'm not going to put that there. And I've got a couple of smaller ficuses. So I've got these ficuses right here. We've got a melon seed ficus here, and this one I believe is a version of a Benjamina, I think. It's not the Green Island. I do have my Green Island ficus down here, below by all my Premnas. We trimmed that one up a little bit, and look at how nice and short and thick that tree is. Wouldn't that be fun on top of this this rock pile with water? But it's not as tall yet, but it's got a whole bunch of new growth since I recently chopped it. I think I'm gonna hold off on that one. And again, we do have the Premnas, but this is a root over rock. We have
Got a Premna in here that's a twin trunk that the critters were all chewing. I could try that up there, but it's got all this back growth here. It's still alive even though the critter chops. I've got another one of these Premnas that the critters got to. We chopped it up, but the critters got it down the lower here. We're still alive here. Got some cobwebs in there. Spiders are eating all my bugs in here. Good job. It's kind of a bizarre tree. They got all the way up here. I just don't know if that one's going to do well if I repot it right now. Another root over rock. Got this twin one that we put together earlier. We left one growing branch on there and it's grown up real nice. We got some new growth here and here. This one's doing good. It's kind of a funky looking tree too because they really did a good number right here. Not down below on this one, but up higher. So it's got this old look. Could be kind of fun up on the rocks too. I almost kind of like that one. It's just unique. Got a really tiny little melon seed ficus here. But I want it to be in a little bit better shape. I'm just worried that one's, these up here are a little bit weaker. I've got all my jades and a couple of Portugal Cariabras and also a Thanksgiving cactus. But I think that's all for my options. I've got another really tiny Premna down here as well that's getting a nice new shoot down low. One right here and this growth up here. So I got enough to make all these little forest scenes. Let's go look at what we've collected so far. So I don't know if it's because the heat is on in my plant room or I'm just so excited that I'm working up a sweat. So off comes the flannel. And now we get to do some creating. There's a small chance, I'll say small, that I don't even plant a tree today. If I'm not feeling right about it, I don't want to plant it. But as most of you probably know about me, I get pretty super excited and want to make some plantings. Here's the forest, the little five trunk tree. What if we put that right back here? It'll totally fit in there. Not a lot of soil to get some of these roots tucked in there, but we might be okay. Now we didn't repot this one before. We just cut off the trunk chop. The trunk chop is right there. There's 2 trunks actually. We've got 5 new trunks here growing well. We could repot that now and put it in the ground because it's doing fine. And it's kind of like summer here for the tropical plants right now. If I put this great big tree in here, this is one of those trees where if I put this tree right here, can I make this bend right over the waterway? Can I put it this way right here? Yeah, so this is the front. So could this tree go right there? See all those roots right there flaring down? Get a rock kind of slide under there. One of my tiny skinny rocks. These shale pieces here that can go underneath there so it looks like it's growing around that rock. Around a rock would be fantastic. So there's a nice tree. Here's the Benjamina. You know, could that be back here behind that one? We want a whole bunch of little ones back there. So do those 3 fit somewhere in the scheme of things back there? Right, like that. Get some trees in the background there. These are some more trees that could be back there somewhere as well. Or maybe off to the center here. We want a big tree here though, so do we want this tree there? Now this tree, this side isn't as attractive. It looks like the wind is blowing that way. It's coming, maybe it's coming up the old gully. Now there's water in there of course, but water whipping it that way. And this is that little one that we just have that new growth. We have a tree like this. Could this be growing over the edge like this? Big tree. And then we can put a couple more little trees behind it to the right here. So we have taller trees back here and one that's reaching in towards the sun around all these trees. I've got this one right here that's got that real double trunk right there. Could that go around some rocks sitting right there somewhere? Could this one be in the back behind the Benjamina? Leaning over the very back of that tree. I like that. I like to have maybe a bigger tree in the back that's kind of got that nice perspective back there, leaning that way, hugging onto the rocks. That could be kind of fun. What to do with all the trees? We have the goldfish plant, which is the most odd of the plants. This probably wouldn't represent a Minnesota forest, and so I'm going to put this back on the shelf. Taking a step back to help explain my vision for this, if we go back to that original picture of that tree on the cliffs up at the North Shore, I wanted these to be a little bit more looking like a Minnesota tree. So I'm going to go with the Premnas and this one Benjamina. I like the Benjamina to give it at least one ficus in here. And then we've got the Premnas all over the place. So this will become a Premna forest. I think this one's too small. I do like this lean one. Maybe this lean guy could be back here. This one's a little bit smaller and chunky. So I'm wondering if I can get one more ficus in here instead of having all Premnas. Nice Premna there, some small Premnas here, the Premna back here, this ficus in the middle up here with these two double stump looking trees in front. Give the forest a little bit of character. Although, do I want a bigger tree up front and this one behind a little bit smaller? I still have this 5-trunked tree. Did I want that in here somewhere? Is that forcing the issue too much? What's hard to tell right here is this pot's taking up so much spot. When that tree is right here, I have room for more trees back here as well. So if I do put this one right here, yeah. I like how this one leans in the front and this one's way in the back leaning, but then these are straight, so you can see back there a little bit more activity. This will be just trees in the background, and this one has all the big movement up front.
I like what I see so far. So why don't we go ahead and put our first tree in?
First things first, we have to get this tree out of the pot. This Premna can be bare-rooted almost any time of the year that you do repot, but of course we typically would repot this in the summertime. But because my plant room is warm and humid and we've got plenty of light on this guy, we're doing this operation now to, of course, make the fish tank pot bonsai contraption come to a reality. I've got one big long root that curls around here. We don't need that one. We got a lot of high roots on here, which is the roots that you were seeing before. We've got all this space underneath here where we've got some more roots that are starting to subdivide, and we got some fine feeder roots on here now. And we're gonna go bring this up to the fish tank bonsai pot left side and see what it's gonna possibly look like. We've got our waterfall still working. We've got this big tree right here, and we wanted to maybe put it at an angle like this so it goes over the water a little bit. Might be harder to do. We have to tuck some of these roots a different direction. They are very pliable. So if I move some soil out of the way here and get this down in there, got some roots falling in the water. So the question on this one is if we can fit some kind of rock underneath to have this root over rock concept. And so like I have these rocks that are thin now as part of this design, part of the top of our, could the soil be filled up to there and we have this thing growing over this rock right here? Is that not even wide enough? Maybe we need a wider one. Maybe this is needing something this big right there. yeah. Here we go. So we have this nice root structure here off to the side. There's one in the back too. We could twist it a little bit further this way, making this rock. We have that tree growing right through the rock right there. You see that? We got a rock that's going this way, and there's a gap here. We can fill this with bonsai soil and a little bit of sphagnum moss. Get these trees tucked down in here. These roots rather. I like this rock because it's flat right over the edge of the water. And then the trees growing right between these, and this one hugs the rock right there. And we probably can put a smaller rock up here on some soil, like right here. So it looks like the soil right there is going to go, yeah. Okay, so right now it's time to move the water over a little bit. So I have a root that's real thick right here and going down and over to the back. I'm just going to cut that one off. Right here. Just a big curly root. It just really opens up this left side a little bit more. I don't want this tree to totally take off the view of that, so I don't want to push it too far forward. So maybe just a little bit further back, like that. And we're going to put some of the soil we just took away from it back in it, because it's good soil that the tree was really liking. I want to get a little bit higher here so we can see this rock. So we're lifting up slightly now, so the roots all tucked down inside there as we lift up. And we can put a little sphagnum moss on here too for a little while to make sure that these roots do really, really well. I can incorporate some muck down in here and a little sphagnum moss. This is just a rock right here, so we can keep the muck, keep this in a certain nice place here. Nice, nice, nice. And right here we can have a tree right here. A straight tree right here, one of the small ones, or a cluster of 2 or 3. If I put two tiny ones, my little seedlings here, and then it's on the left side of this tree, we can make that work. All right. Now these are loose rocks, so they're not attached to anything, but they'll look natural that way, and I can always repot in the summer or in the spring next year or in the winter down here. Whatever I do, I can always rearrange this. But now, right now we have a tree that once you water this rock right here is seen, this rock right here and this rock right here, it looks like it's growing right out of the cracks there, and then it grew a nice set of roots right there and hugged this rock really nice. I think that's going to work out nice, and that'll allow these trees back here to get bigger up here and cover up some negative space back here as this tree keeps growing up tall now. We probably have to get rid of the windswept of this tree, but it'll grow up and maybe go up and bushy up here. Okay? So the goal here is to get a couple of these cuttings that I have that are doing really, really well, and see if I can get a couple of really nice straight up trees here. So I have a couple of nice straight up trees right here with a little bit of roots on there. We can go ahead and cut down this root right here. And I don't want to mess with these too much. We're going to go ahead and put a tree right there. Get some soil back on here, see if it'll hold up straight. There's a nice high aerial root up here. And then we have another tall one here. These are all tall ones actually. Put this one straight and put this one at a little bit of an angle. Back here. Let me come back and take a peek at that. Those trees could be some of those good filler trees. All right, as we pull back, they're too much in a row. I don't like how this one divides there. I think this one will be a better candidate. Actually, I think this is a better candidate for the front one. Right there. Lift up that tree a little bit, let those roots go down a little bit more. Right there. Right here, and then this bigger one. Maybe right. Okay, let's take a peek. Yeah, that looks nice because this is a little bit bigger tree. This is kind of a small one tucked in between them here. They're not on the same exact plane anymore. And then, if I like the placement of this tree right here, we have to decide where this is going to go. And that gives me just barely enough room for a tree back here. Somehow back here, can we get a tree? Let me come out to the front again. Because where that river is going to go, we're going to cover that up with some soil. So here we have this rock structure with the water coming down here. You can see a little bit of that silicone that didn't dry clear, unfortunately. Maybe I should have used black after all. But we got the water coming out there. So this rock goes right there. So I like where the waterfall is right now. I just want to shrink it down just a little bit more so it's right on that pond liner right there. Let me take a peek at that. It's got that little hut up there, almost looks like a little animal den. So that looks like the water is flowing out real nice. It's not going underneath, it's going to drag into the water, which is nice. And we have a little piece of black right here. We might want to cut that off. And I've got the waterfall where I want them. So now I just have to figure out if I can put a couple of trees in the back yet, which are way back in the distance. But I probably get some of my cuttings back there, and they're real small and they'll fit in here real good. And we'll hope that these continue to thrive. I've been so excited about planting these trees that I just stopped talking. I'm kind of focused on this planting, and it's just been super fun. I'm going to give it a little bit of a watering now. It's going to drip onto my glass table a little bit, but I just want to make sure that we have a little bit of water on all these trees that we just planted. See where this water is going to soak down to. The bonsai pot tank is doing its thing. It's starting to leak down on the table now through the holes, the drainage holes at the bottom. We have this really nice cliff face here where we got this tree leaning and got the roots exposed here with some rocks over there. We got these 2 little ones over here and a couple back here as well. So we have a 5 planted forest here. We got to let this thing grow. We're going to see if we can get this thing to survive. So here's the view from the right. We can see the water coming down there. Of course, we got this white sealant there. I'm a little bit disappointed in that. I thought it was supposed to be clear, but it's still white. But oh well, we'll fix that up with some little tiny rocks. We can put bonsai rocks in there and glue them in there with some black sealant. We'll see. Absolutely fantastic. Super excited about this. And I can't wait to keep going. But we got to stop right here. That's enough for today. We've got 5 trees in on this side. We'll figure out this side next. We're just going to let it go. We got water on here. We've watered the trees, that is. We'll get some sphagnum moss on this soil a little bit, so we have a little bit of moisture retention. But it is down in the plant room. We should be good. Super excited to see where this is going to lead to. Hey, thanks for watching. Subscribe, click like if you haven't already. I'd appreciate it. And more to come. It took 13 episodes to get these trees in here. But we're almost done. We almost come to the very end. Hey, take care of you, take care of your bonsai, and we're going to catch you very soon.